Hello everyone. My name is James Kolawole Adele, and today we're going to be dealing with we're going to be starting the first video, which actually has to do with Active Directory. And what we are actually trying to do here, all right, is that we want to find a way to create uh, a server, all right, in which we have a lot of clients connected to it. And a lot of universities actually do this because it is one of the things that is actually running right now, and it is actually very important, right, for us to be able to know how to do that. All right, this is a way by which you you install an Active Directory in a server, right, and then you connect different systems, 1,000 systems, multiple systems on this particular server, and this server is going to be the one to be managing the affairs, and it's going to be handling or controlling all the activities of other computers on the network. All right, in terms of management of users, in terms of management of all other network devices, in terms of sharing the printers, installations of group policies, and all other things will be done. And of course, we're going to also create an account that belongs to the IT support, as you can see here. Right, you can see here that we've actually been able to do this on VCO. This is the ISP server. We're connected to the modem of this particular network diagram. Could be a school, or it could be a business that actually handles thousands of users all over the world. All right, and then you can actually use a particular system to connect them together. Isn't that wonderful? All right, so this could be a school in which you have thousands of students, all right, and you have thousands of computers in which each student will actually be able to have access to each computer, to different computers at the same time or at different time. Not it may not be concurrently, but will actually happen like that. That people students will be able to have access to computers, and they'll be able to see and maybe do assignments and perform their homeworks, and of course they will actually be given different passwords authentications, all right, and you have this IT support that will be given the administrative power to be able to manage them. You can actually use this particular system to install using what is called the PDQ software. All right, this is the software that we can actually use to do that. You can use this PDQ deploy, all right, to install. Let's say probably maybe you have a user that is complaining of a problem with his system not actually having some kind of software. Alright, you can use this PDQ to install at the same time on thousands or millions of computers around. All right, you can actually install VLC and all other softwares at the same time. All right, using this particular. So this is actually one of the very fundamental training that is going to be undergone by uh, people who want to go into IT support. And I actually believe that anybody that is interested can actually cross into the IT world. But it's basically important for us to be able to understand something. Today, this is what we're going to be doing, and this is going to be the first video in a series of videos on IT support. And I believe that after going through this training is going to actually make a lot of impact on many people. And basically, I actually discovered that I found these inspirations from this particular guy on YouTube. His name is Job Skillshare. All right, the training is actually very, very comprehensive, and it actually impact me to be able to release training. Basically, I've been into this IT world for more than 10 years, for more than for like forever, right? And I've been able to build a lot of expertise in terms of hardware and software. So it's actually one of my field, and I actually going through this training, I was able to learn tremendously well about this. So this is going to be my diagram. All right, so you can see here we have the ISP server, ISP fiber optics feeding the modem. All right, this is going to be the core router. All right, and of course we have this distribution router, and we also have the access router, which is not what I'm going to be dealing with right now. And then this router actually connects to this Active Directory, all right, domain controller. All right, and after this domain controller is installed on the system, it becomes the domain controller controlling the activities of every other computer systems. All right, and what is installed on this particular system that makes it to be the server is actually Windows Server 2019 or any other version, and then we call it DC1. Right, this DC1 is actually connected. We now install IT support 1, IT support 2. Then we have all these users, and these buildings also are connected. So any user that is actually using the system will be able to be connected to these Active Directory, and you can actually use this thing to control them, to install activities on them, to manage these users, to give them different roles and all other stuff. So that is what we are going to be doing today, right now. But before we do that, for the sake of people who have not been into IT world, it's actually very imperative and necessary for us to be able to actually pass some knowledge across, right? Because this might actually be a little bit advanced for just normal users. But it's actually this training is actually designed to bring people that are interested in coming into IT world to be able to have them to make them to actually have some basic knowledge or basic idea of what they should know before they actually start this training. We're not going to start deploying. Of course, we're going to do the installations of virtual box, all right, or some VMware's applications, and we're going to start the installations very soon. But for this first training, we're going to first start with the basic how to get information about the basic knowledge of computer before we actually go into starting the deployment or starting the installations of VMware and installations of operating systems on our VMware and doing the connections. So the first thing we're going to be dealing with what is called operating system. Now, operating system is a system software that manages computer hardware, software resources, and provides common services for computer programs. Operating system is just defined as an underlying program on which every other programs run. When you're talking about operating system, you're talking about important operating systems. For example, you have operating systems on Windows, so on computers and desktops. Of course, we have the Windows, we have the Macintosh, and we have the Linux for computers and desktops, and iOS, Android for mobile phones. Now, basically, we have Windows. Of course, we have Windows 7, we have Windows 8, we have versions of Windows. We have Windows 8.1, we have Windows 10. Currently, now the latest Windows we have is Windows 11. Of course, we have Macintosh, which has different versions, and we also have Linux. You have Fedora, you have Ubuntu, and we have a lot of other applications under Linux. All right, and of course, we are used to iOS we are used to iOS and Android for mobile phones. All right, so this is an Apple operating system which is actually used. So basically, before any devices on the network can be used, all right, you need to have operating system installed on them. This is a system that actually controls the activities of every other programs that are supposed to be installed. All right, and this operating system actually include what's called BIOS, and BIOS actually is one of the things that makes the computer to actually be integrated easily with the hardware. Right, because you need to have the combination of both hardware and the software for any programs to run. And under this operating system, of course, we have what's called the applications software, and we have what is called the system softwares. Application softwares are softwares like Microsoft Office 2000, Microsoft Offices, VLC, you have and all other applications that users uses on a daily basis. And if they're not on a computer, the computer will still function properly. All right, but these are the things that that users use. But we have system software. System software is actually very important because if they are not present on the system, the system will actually maybe go corrupt or may probably freeze or hang. So of course, we have what is called networking. Networking is defined as the interconnectivity of nodes in order to share common resources. All right, a lot of systems are on a network, and basically, systems have to be connected to a network to be able to maybe access the internet. All right, because of course, it has to do with sharing resources. Resources are shared. Resources like data, like folders are being shared on a network. So it is actually imperative for for there to be networking. All right, and of course we have what is called the servers. Basically, there's a particular thing that actually makes networking to actually happen on the computer, which is actually IP address. We're still going to get there very soon. Now we have servers. Servers is a computer or software device that administers, controls, and supervise the activities of other client systems on the network. All right, basically you need something that's going to control the activities of every other computers. All right, we don't just want a situation whereby there will be different systems connected and doing a lot of things and no violating issues, violating privacies, and so you need sanity. You need a server that controls, that administers the activities of every other users or every other client on the system. And of course, that is what we are going to be building today by saying we want to do the installations of Active Directory on a system and making to be the domain controller. We have and there are certain things that so these are the basic things that we probably need to understand about the basic knowledge that we need to understand in terms of computers, before we go into our training. Of course, one of the things that we also need to do in terms of the technical know-how is the MS config. And what is MS config? This is MS config means Microsoft configuration, MS config, and MS config utility. All right, these are the things. MS config, system configuration. So it's actually opening right now. All right, so but this is Microsoft configuration. Of course, you can see here that basically there are things that we can do on this Microsoft configuration. This is the normal startup, this is selective startup, and this is diagnostic startup. We can actually try our hands on these, but basically it is here. So we have the boot options. Of course, this is advanced options. Sometimes people say that if you want to increase the speed of your processor, you can actually increase it here. But basically, I don't think that actually makes any much sense because you by default, I'm actually using one processor. All right, and of course, this is the maximum memory. The memory that I'm actually using on my system is 20 gig. All right, so I can actually increase my speed to 26 if I want, but I'm actually limiting it here and saying okay. Now, of course, we have the services. These are the services that are running in the background, that are running on my system. You can see here that it's actually running. If I want to hide all the Microsoft services, I can hide them here, right? And if you want to see some malicious software that are running on your system, of course, you can see it here by coming to this manufacturer and looking at the known manufacturer, which is actually here. I can see here that I have a Microsoft Corporation, which is actually very, very renowned. And of course, I can go down and see what other applications is strange running on my system, and I can actually, if I discover that there's anyone that is not okay, I can decide to stop it and and pause them by selecting them and right clicking, and then I can actually click on stop. We have a startup. Now these are the startup that sometimes you can see some clients complain that by the time they are starting their system, it's actually very slow. Basically, it could be that they have a lot of applications stopping their systems from actually working. Right? A lot of applications running, installing in the background, competing with the complete startup of their computers. So the thing that you can do is that to click on this task, open task manager, and that is going to open, and then you can actually go here and disable. You can right click on them. If you can enable them, you can disable them. Basically, the only one that is actually enabled here, I think it's mobile services. All right, so most of them are disabled. All right, so the presses. Let me click on presses. So these are the things that are running. I can see here that here you can see that I have a 50% capacity CPU capacity, and my RAM is 69%. So I can decide to go down here and see this is the virtual box running. Right, you can see that it's consuming 30% already. I can decide to click on this one, right click and end task if I do not want that, because these are the things that are competing with the capacities of your systems in terms of the CPU and memory. So I'm using 34% CPUs, and of course I'm using 69% memory. Sometimes if this memory gets to as high as 90%, your system is going to freeze, it's going to hang. Right, so before that happens, you can just scroll down and check the apps that is actually using maximum capacity of your system and decide to stop it or pause it. So this is performance. All right, this shows the performance. Let me go to press again. All right, and see. Okay, let me scroll down. Okay, I've actually done that. All right, let's scroll down. So you have a lot of things running here. So these are the, you can see here that this is actually consuming 33%. All right, for my CPU, it's consuming 4,319 MB, which is and it's consuming 39.5 MB per second. So let's go to performance. Now this performance, this is my CPU. It's telling me that I'm consuming 70% of CPU, so 80% now. It's coming down. This is the memory. I'm consuming 70% of my memory. And of course, this actually shows me some information about my system as well. I have 20 gig RAM. This is 20 gig, all right, and the 19.9 gig memory usage. All right, so these are actually this is telling me that I have two slots on my system. All right, the form factor is SODIMMMM. This is a very low system in terms of the specifications anyway. So you can see the app history, and of course, these are the app history. Startup apps. These are the app that start up with the computer, users details, and of course, so basically these are the things that we actually need to understand when we're talking about especially when you want to actually cross into the field of IT. And of course, we're going to close that and we're going to continue with our training here. Now we have a control part. No, we have uh, direct X diagnostics, which is also very important. DXDIAG. All right, so let's go to direct X diagnostics, which is actually going to go give us some other information about the computer that we're actually using right now. So basically, that is the work of the DirectX diagnostics. It actually gives us some detailed informations. So I'm going to close some apps that are running so that I will be able to have um, access for. So this is DirectX diagnostics. It gives me good information of the specifications of my computer. Right. So this actually tells me that the computer name is mgate, and then this is the current date. All right, this is operating system Windows 11. It gives me the information about my computer. This is memory, the memory installed, and the DirectX 12. This is display. So these are this information about the display. Okay, this is the sound. This is the sound, and of course, these are the inputs. So it tells me that mouse is attached to the computer, to the motherboard, and the keyboard is also attached to the motherboard. All right, these are also there. HP wireless button driver. Probably maybe they have been installed before, but they are not available. Right, so it's actually telling me that they are not available. So this is the information about, and it telling me that there's no problem found. This is PS2 devices. So this DirectX diagnostics also gives us some more information about the computer system information. All right, so of course we can also do that by using system info. And I'm still going to go there on command prompt. All right, so and of course, instead of going there, I can actually right click here, right click on the start menu, and I'm going to go to system. All right, also system, also here I'm going to go to system, and it's going to open for me now. Now of course this actually tells me some other information about the computer. You can see here the device name is mkit. All right, of course you can also, to get this information as well, you can go to control panel, you can go to cmd. All right, you can go to cmd. Let's go to cmd, and it actually tells me the name of the owner, the device name. This is the processor. You can say who am I. Who am I tells you that this is the name of the person that owns the computer, mgate. So like you can see here, that this is the name of the computer, mgate. And of course these are the memory, and these are my some. If you want to get also, if you also want to get this information, you can go to system info. System info is also going to provide you with certain information about the computer. The same way as I am doing here. You can see here, tells me that I have a lot of things on my computer, the name, the RAM, and several other informations about the software, about the OS. Okay, I can also get information about the OS by going to WinVar. WinVar gives me the Win version. This is the Win version, so I'm using Windows 11, and of course this is the name, and this is the HP. So these are the information that you can actually get about the computer. And as an IT expert, of course, you're going to be given this. You're going to be asked sometimes about these information, and you actually have to find a way to provide them for your clients. All right, and of course, these are the things that you probably know. It tells me that this is the pen touch support with 10 touch points. So it's telling me that I can actually use my hand to control so this is a touch screen system. Right, if you don't see this touch support there, that means that it's not a touch screen system. All right, so that is that about that. Of course, you can also rename the system. As you can see here, you can also rename the system here by coming to this rename this PC. All right, these are the things that we're going to be doing when we are actually dealing with our Active Directory. All right, so you can rename your system by clicking on name and going to next. Right now, I'm not going to rename my system here right now. Of course, we're still going to get to how to rename your system. Of course, device manager as well. All right, device manager. Before I forget, you can go to device manager by coming to this search menu and go to device manager. You can see it here. This is device manager, and it actually has been opened here. These are the devices that is connected to my system. Sometimes you might actually have issues with some of these things and you need to fix it. For example, if you come to this, my previous videos I actually taught about how to fix some things. For example, if you have some yellow boxes here, so some yellow triangle, all right, you can just go here, right click and uninstall them. But let me go to properties, and you can see that this device is working properly. But sometimes you might discover that it might tell you that this device is not working properly. All right, yeah, consult my videos, my previous videos. You should be able to know how to fix that here. And how do you do that? You can just go there by uninstall. After you have done the uninstallations, you can just go to this place action and go to scan for hardware changes, and hopefully your system is going to be fixed if you have any issues at all with your system. Regedit is a way by which you can actually delete some sensitive information, sometimes you might find it difficult to delete some things on your computer. Probably maybe it's actually giving you problems. All right, so uh, coming to regedit will actually help you to be able to make some of this permanent deletion, all right, without actually having any effects on your computer. But all right, so we also have control panel. Sometimes you can go to control panel. Control panel contains a lot of things, all right, and still going to be actually dwelling tremendously more about control panel. All right, as an IT professional, it's actually important for us to be able to uninstall our programs. For example, if you have a program you want to uninstall, all right, you can go to programs and features. All right, select the programs you want to uninstall. Okay, so you want to uninstall this one, select it, and then click on uninstall, and then of course it's going to open a wizard box for you. And so you just need to just keep saying next until you finish the uninstallations. So that is actually how to uninstall, and all your installed programs and features are actually here as well. All right, of course, users accounts, you can actually create new accounts, multiple accounts on your system. This is Windows tools, of course. These are the things that we're going to be using tremendously more. All right, how we can actually use these Windows tools, and then of course, um, disk cleanup is very important for us to do our disk cleanup. For example, you can actually get to this disk cleanup by going to search disk cleanup. All right, to clean, you can also defragment your disk. You can clean up your disk. All right, for example, you want to free some space on your computers, and it's complaining of space. Of course, you can actually run this cleanup, which we to a large extent helps you to do a lot of cleaning on your system. And also, we're still going to get there, so let me just leave that for now. So this is of course network. Now I'm actually on network now. Now I'm going to go to where I just left now. Now this is the network, and now we're going to the network. Now let me check this network now. Now this is network and sharing center. All right, for example, this is the network and sharing center, and it's actually very important for us to be able to know some things. Of course, this is the Wi-Fi. I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, and this is my network. This is my ISP provider. Now, this is you can go to this change data settings. Now, for example, you want to now these are my network adapters that I've used. These are uh, virtual box adapters that I'm using, and this is my Wi-Fi. This is my Ethernet. Right, for example, I want to give this an IP address. So I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to go to properties. Right, of course, sometimes you might need to disable this. Right, probably maybe you're having an issue with the Ethernet cable, Ethernet port. You can just enable the back, and then it's going to be enabled. Okay, so that is how to enable and disable your Ethernet card. Of course, you can right click on it and go to properties. Right, it's going to open properties for me. I'm going to go down here into TCP4. Then you want to now this actually tells me that I'm actually having I'm using DHCP service for my internet connection. But if I want to assign an IP address manually, I'll just click on this, and then I'll now type the manual IP address. I'll type 192.168.1.5. All right, this is class C 25.0, and of course I can actually put this one as 192.168.1.1. All right, then of course I can put the preferred DNS. Now DNS means domain name service, and of course I can use Google DNS, or I can use any other DNS I actually prefer. All right, and then I will say okay. All right, but if you have this IP address on your system, it is actually very imperative for you to know that if you're connected to a DHCP service, all right, there's a high possibility that your system will not have internet, except if you change it to uh, obtain an IP address automatically. Now, obtaining an IP address automatically is actually very good if you are on a network that is actually very very large. You cannot be assigning IP address manually to each of the services. All right, and also for security reasons, of course, you can use a manual IP address. But if you are going to be using an IP address over a large network, all right, if you're going to be within a large network, it's actually very important for you to use IP address using automatic IP address to be able to assign your IP address to your system. Okay, so that is that's about that. Of course, I'm also going to be dealing with how to share resources on the network. Okay, how to share resources on the network. Now, for example, I might want to share. Let me just right click here and create a folder, and let's say let me create it sharing. All right, and of course, let me drop something inside this sharing folder. All right, let me drop um, some things inside the sharing folder. Now, before I go into sharing, I'm going to actually be able to talk about some things. Now, basically, where we left, we talked about. Let's go back here. Now, this is the network and sharing. All right, this is the control panel. We are at the control panel, and let's go to network and sharing. All right, now this is we've actually been here. Now let's come to this place, change um, advanced sharing settings. Now this is change advanced sharing settings. Sometimes you might actually want your computers to be seen on the network. All right, this is network discovery. You can now turn it on. When you turn it on, and then you go to this place, you go to file, and then you can actually this is probably going to be on this C. You go to network, all right, you will see that file sharing is turned off. Some network computers and devices might not be visible. All right, you have to turn this on before you can be able to see all the network devices that are connected to your workspace, all right, or to your work group. Okay, so let me go here and turn it on. Okay, I'll turn it off. It's not now. Let me turn it on off. All right, and when I turn it off, and let me go there, and then let me right click and go to show more and refresh. Right, you can see that it's turned off now. It says network discovery and file sharing are turned off. All right, network discoveries are not visible. So if you want your system to be discovered over a network, you need to what? You need to go to this particular place and turn on your network discovery. And then when you turn it on, you come to this network and you come to the right click, go to show more options, and then you refresh. You will see that you will be able to see other network connected connected to your network within that you are on the same network together. So I'm going to come to this place and turn it off. I don't want anybody to see my network on the network. So this is file and sharing. Of course, you can actually say you want to share for file and folders. All right, it's very very important. You can go to all networks. Now, public folder sharing. You can say allow others on the network to read and write folders in public folders. You can say on and off. File sharing connectivity. This is encrypted, is recommended. Now password, you can say, okay, for example, if you want to ask, if somebody within your network want to access the network, all right, if you off this, if you switch off the password, all right, the person will be able to access your computer, all right, easily. All right, but if you switch it on, then you need to provide a password for your computer on the person's system or person's laptop before the person can actually be able to access your computer. All right, so actually that is very very important. And how do you share a folder? Or how do you share file? All you just need to do is just to, If you want to share a folder, let's say you want to share a folder within a particular person that's on your network, you just go to that folder, right click on it, right? You right click on the folder, right? And then you go to properties, then you go to sharing. All right, the name of the folder is sharing anyway, so you can go to share, but I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to go to advanced sharing. All right, and then I'm going to share this folder. All right, and then after doing that, this is the limit the number of simultaneous users. Only 20 people will be able to access this folder simultaneously at the same time. All right, you can go to permissions, and then of course you can now add the name of the person or the name of the computer that you want to access that you want to be able to access this particular file. All right, you can just say add them, and then if you are on a network or if you are on Active Directory, but just by typing their name here and then going to check names, it's going to automatically fill them here. But because we're not yet on an Active Directory and we're not planning to share any folder, so we're not going to do that. So after you have done that, then you now say okay. Right, because if you put them here, you can see that this okay is highlighted. But I'm not actually putting anybody, so I'm just going to close it. All right, and then if you want to share this folder, the person that you share this folder only will be able to read this folder alone, will not be able to change, will not be able to have a full control. But if you want the person to be able to have a full control, you click on this allow, and then you say apply and okay. Now the person that you are sharing it with, which is this person that you have actually chosen here, all right, and you type the name and then you say check names and you've added the person here, that person will be able to have. But if you want to share it with everybody, you can share it with everybody. So that is that. You now say apply and okay. But we're not actually applying here, so we're going to close this and close this, and then we say okay. So we're not actually sharing a folder. So basically, that is how to share folder and files. Of course, you can also share printers within a network. Right? All you just need to do is just to go to the printer. I think printer and fax, printer and scanners. You go to printer and scanners, and then of course, if you want to share this printer, you click on it. All right, and then you can now go to printer properties. All right, and then you go to sharing, and then you can now share this printer, and then you say apply and okay. So this printer is going to be shared over a network such that other people that are on the network will be able to use the printer as long as they are connected on an active network. They will be able to send the printer and they will be able to print with them. So you don't need to have let's say you have five systems and yeah, you want to have five printers. No, you just need a printer, and then you share the printer with every other person, every other five person, and the people will be able to see them. So that's actually very, very important. And then of course we're going to continue. All right, this is IP addressing. We've talked about IP addressing, and we've talked about device manager. So we're going to go into CMD. Now CMD is command prompt. CMD is command prompt, and these are the things that we need to be able to understand and do on CMD. Basic things. All right. For example, you want to say cd dot dot to go forward, cd no to go forward. So cd is just to change directory. All right. You can md is to create a new directory. For example, if you want to create a folder, like you right click and you say new folder. So instead of you using new folder, you go to the directory you want to create a folder for, and then you say md. That creates a folder for you. You can use rd. Okay, let me say md uh, training. All right, it's going to create a training folder for me. So if I use dir, I'll be able to see training inside one of these. But because I don't want that, I will say rd training. It's going to delete them. So cls to what to clear screen. All right, so these are the things that you also need to understand about our computer. Of course, we have many other things like that. We've talked about OMI and WinRAR. Of course, we've talked about dir, cd dot dot to go back, and md to create to make new directory, cd to enter into a new directory, and rd to remove directory. So these are the things, these are basic commands that you need to actually be aware of. Of course, we have ipconfig. ipconfig shows me the information, some information about this computer. Of course, I'm going to just clean it, cls. All right, we have ipconfig /all. All right, this also shows me information about all the IP configurations and commands and all those folders. Of course, we have for example, if you're talking about ipconfig /renew, /renew or /release, sometimes you might actually encounter a situation whereby you have IP conflict, probably maybe two computers on the network or two systems or two nodes on the network are fighting or are quarreling over the same IP, or have the same IP assigned to them. All right, and there's going to be IP conflict. It's very imperative. You just go to IP config spacebar forward slash renew. All right, that will actually help you to be able to, to be able to get rid of that or release. All right, which will be able to help you to, overcome the IP conflicts that you have. So it's going to refresh or it's going to renew, and you're going to get a new IP addresses. All right, of course, you also have slash release. Now, if you want to flush a DNS, you can just go to IP conflict slash flush DNS, or you can use the IP config slash display DNS. All right, these are the things that you actually are going to be using when you start your work as when you start your proper training. So let me CLS and to clear the screen. Of course, we can actually see some things that you can also use here. Let's say you say chkdsk slash c. All right, this, sometimes you have what's called back setup. Right, on your systems, your system, your hard drive actually contains a disk. Right, this disk is sometimes they are 500 gig worth or 1 terabyte. Now this gig, based on the fact that probably maybe you shut down your systems and or probably because of some bad files, that is run on your bad folders or programs that are installed improperly, they might actually create a bad sectors on your system. And sometimes you need to clean some of these bad sectors. So if you want to check your hard disk to be able to see some bad sectors or to be able to see the information about them, you can use CHD, CHKDSK, C control. If you want to scan and fix those errors, you can say chkdsk spacebar slash c colon forward slash cf. And if you want to check, fix, and recover bad sectors, of course, you can use chkdsk c colon forward slash r space forward slash r. So these are the ways by which you can use to fix your bad sectors and to, to fix your computers. All right, and of course to make it to actually perform better. Of course, there are some things that you also need to know. Of course, we're talking about sharing folders, printers, and other network devices. Of course, Windows Update. Windows Update is actually very important for us as well. Windows Update. There are some things that can be fixed by just running Windows Update. All right, and I'm sure that my Windows is up to date. You can see here. All right, so it's actually very imperative for you to have your systems up to date, because sometimes there are some important programs that are actually needed for your systems to perform optimally, and you need to actually spare some time to be able to do some Windows updates. And it's very important for you not to shut down your system while your system is running update, because it could actually affect adversely your computer, and probably maybe create a new profile for you that you will not be able to access your old profile, and you need to probably go and take it to an engineer to be able to help you recover those files. So it's very important while system update is running, you don't shut down, you don't abruptly obstruct the flow of the updates, because they are very, very sensitive. Of course, we are also going to be talking about disabling and enabling firewall. Sometimes you might need to disable your firewall. Of course, for example, if you want to remote log in into a user's computer, and you might need to disable uh, might need to disable those firewall before you can actually be able to do that. So Windows firewall, of course, you can say turn on firewall, and then you can now turn off and turn off. Click here and then click here, and then you now say okay, and your firewall is turned off. But I don't want to do that right now at this point, so I'm going to leave it. So that is how to turn on off your firewall. Sometimes the firewall, it's actually important for us to know that sometimes when you are on a very big or large network, you are probably going to have a dedicated machine or a dedicated server, which is going to be for your a firewall server. So it is actually giving us a wide protections on network. All right, so disabling our computer's firewall may not really actually adversely affect our systems in terms of maybe probably somebody hacking into our system, because we have a dedicated firewall machine or a firewall server that is doing that is covering and giving us a cover from external hacking. So imperative is actually very important for us to be able to disable and enable our firewall. And these are basic things that we need to understand in terms of computer engineering, in terms of, before we can actually go into the IT field. Basically, other things like, of course, knowing how to use The Windows is actually very, very basic. And of course, um, these actually has actually these and some other more that I might actually get to put. Of course, I'm going to also, let me just quickly do this before I go. Let me just right click here and go to systems. Of course, event viewer. Sometimes we're not going to do everything here completely because there are certain things that we still need to know. Advanced system. Let's say, of course, you want to go to remote. You want to remote login. We're still going to get here anyway, but device manager advanced. Let's go to advanced and let's go to. I'm not go to environment variables. This is computer name. Or you want to change the name. You want to just go to change. All right, so this is change. You want to change the domain. We're still going to get to this place here where we're going to have to change our domain. Log into connect with a domain. We're still going to get there, but we've talked about how to change our name. All right, so that's that about that. So basically, you want to remote log into the systems. Of course, you have to allow remote login or go to advanced. Allow this remote to be controlled manually remotely. No, we're not actually doing that right now. Right now, but we're still going to get to that point when we have installed our Active Directory. So basically, these are the things that I believe that is imperative for us to know if you are crossing into the field of IT, or if you want to actually major in IT support, or probably maybe you are into accounting, you are into management or any other field, and you want to cross into IT. I think it's actually very, very important, for you to consider IT support as one of your field, or as a field that you want to embark into, and it's actually very, very interesting. So thank you for listening, and I will appreciate if you can actually share or recommend or like and subscribe. Thank you, and be blessed.